Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Dupe That Palette video. You may understand from the look I'm wearing that we're talking about greens, and we're specifically talking about the Huda Beauty Emerald Obsessions. This launch got my heart palpitating, beating faster. These monochromatic eyeshadow palettes are gorgeous and definitely a very good idea. Now, of course, they're 27 euros, dollars each, and that's not a lot if you think of it, but you only get one color. So I was just checking and taking a look to see what I could dupe these palettes with, and I'm not gonna go through all of, I think there's 5 of them, but I'm gonna address today the one that is really calling my name. And that is the Emerald Obsessions. If you saw my last video, I showed you my Makeup Geek colorful shadow palette, and there was a lot of teals and greens in there because I love wearing greens. This is a little bit out there for a look. We'll see what they'll think about it at work today, but I had a lot of these shades and I thought, well, let's see if I really need this green palette because I love greens, but I already have a lot of them and I don't wear them as much, especially matte ones. They're a little bit more difficult to wear in an everyday look. So the Huda Beauty Emerald Obsession palette has 9 eyeshadows, of which 3 are mattes and the rest they call duochromes. Now, I've seen a few swatches, they don't look that duochrome to me. The only way to know is see them in person, and I won't be able to do that, I guess, until the end of October. So in case, I'll just add down in the description box or on Instagram if I don't know, see that they're actual duochromes. The shades range from some very light, minty, light green colors to some deeper greens and teals to some olive and one gold shade. I think it's quite a nice range of shades. Of course, it's monochromatic, so you only get that much to work with, but if you like the shade, I think it's quite a nice place to start with 9 eyeshadows. Of course, there's all other ranges in the other 4 palettes that are absolutely gorgeous, but we're not talking about those today. Let's get into it. So here are my dupes for that palette. These are all Makeup Geek eyeshadows except for this one here, which I couldn't find a dupe, and this is actually a mixture of TKB micas that I made myself last year, and I don't know what it is, but it's actually a very close dupe. So compared to what I see online, I think I would be okay with that. I can put down in the down bar the name of the micas that I mixed in here, the exact ratio, I don't know, but if you're into these things, you can actually make them yourself. Let's get to the swatches and description of the shades. The first shade in my version is Fantasy by Makeup Geek, and this is a foiled eyeshadow in a seafoam green with a lot of reflects. Very beautiful. The second shade is Sure Thing, and this is a matte mint green shade. It is quite white based, so it's a little bit powdery and difficult to use. And this is my only negative to this shade. Then here is my Frankenstein TKB Trading eyeshadow. This is a duochrome with a green base and some mint green reflects. This may be a little bit darker than what I see in the swatches online, but yeah, it is what I could find. Then for the dark shade in this palette, I picked Houdini. This is a dark and blackened teal. It is a foiled eyeshadow. Then we have a medium teal, and this is Autumn Breeze by Makeup Geek. This is one of the new fall eyeshadows. Not a foiled eyeshadow, and you can see the difference in the shimmer, but applied wet is gorgeous. Then the matte is Dragonfly, and this is a matte teal shade. Then moving on to the olive tones, this is quite a cool toned, leaning on green. It actually looks much grayer close to a teal shade, but this is high tea. Then we have the olive green in the palette, and I picked Take Two which is a foiled eyeshadow. It's a green base with a gold reflect, which I really, really like. And then finally the gold, I picked Karma, which is a duochrome gold with some lime green in it, which is really, really beautiful. So here are the shades that I picked to dupe the Huda Beauty Emerald Obsession palette. Now, are these exact dupes? No, mainly because I cannot compare the palette because I don't have it. So it is what it is. I took them from swatches on Instagram that I found on people who did videos. Depending on the lighting, that palette looks very, very teal or very, very green. I can't tell. And the look on the marketing campaign by Huda Beauty, that was definitely on the more teal seafoam type of shade. So I went with that. No reason to justify myself, actually. So yeah, these are the shades that I picked. Again, of course it's going to be more expensive to buy these eyeshadows, and that's not the point of this video. The point is for me to find out if I need the palette or not. Now I would say not. I also created this look and I will add the tutorial for it right in a moment. And the only thing I have to say is that the matte teals were a bit more difficult to work with, but the effect, as you can see, is actually quite beautiful. So I have no complaints about it. I also rarely use these eyeshadows like this. I usually use more neutral or warm transition with a teal or green or blue or whatever on my lid or lower lash line. So this was a bit of a different look than what I wear usually. I think that if you don't have the shades, you should definitely get these palettes. I think the concept is really, really great. And I think the orange one is extremely dupeable. You probably have those shades in your collection. The purple one, I wasn't really impressed because there's very few interesting shades and it looks quite monochromatic, but not in a good way. Like there's not a lot of variation. And I just got the Jaclyn Hill Vault with all the purples that I would need. So I would keep away from that. The blue looks really interesting, especially for those of you who do not have any blues in your collection. That is a very easy way to get away with it. And the red one I've heard really good things about. So depending on what your collection has, and if you like to have a pop of color, I think these are very, very nice way and inexpensive way, because at $3 a pop, they're actually quite cheap in the palette to pick it up. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you, no, you don't need them. I think they have their place, and for me, I needed to convince myself that I didn't need the green one, that I could save my money to spend it all on the Nabla launch of today. But that's details. And and this worked out fine for me. Now I will let you to the tutorial for this eye look, and I hope you enjoyed. Give me a comment down below if you are going to pick up any of these. I know I already had on Instagram a few people telling me, you will not convince me not to buy them, but you might convince me to buy more Makeup Geek eyeshadows. So we will see, and let me know down below what you're gonna do. I know these palettes are already available at Cult Beauty and maybe even Sephora. I'll leave links down below if they are. And I will see you in the tutorial in a moment. Otherwise, in the next video. Bye, guys. My eye is primed and completely set, and I'm starting off with the shade Sure Thing on a fluffy brush, applying it all over my crease. This is a bit of a flyaway shade, so I have to apply it multiple times to build up the color. But it's okay because I almost never use such a mint shade in my crease. Then with a smaller brush, I'm going into the shade Dragonfly. And this is the teal. And again, building it up in the crease. From the swatches online, I really cannot tell if this matte corresponding shade in the Huda Beauty palette is a green or a teal. I really cannot tell. unfortunately. Going back with the other brush to blend it out. Now moving on to the shimmers, I am taking Houdini here with a flat synthetic brush. This is from Colourpop, and applying it onto the outer corner of my eye. I haven't used this brush before. I just found it in my collection. It is from Colourpop and it was made for their Super Shock shadows, so I thought it would work for foiled eyeshadows, but it's not exactly the best. I'm going in with a different brush that I know works well. Yeah, this is better. With this same brush, I'm wetting the air and applying the shade Autumn Breeze. This is part of the new eyeshadows for fall by Makeup Geek, and it's a beautiful medium teal shimmer. It's not a foiled eyeshadow, so I prefer to wet the brush to get a bit more effect. Then with a smaller brush and the shade Fantasy, I will do the inner corner, inner third of my eye. And now back in with the brush we used for the crease shade and blending all of this out. I'm gonna clean up my fallout and do my base so that we can do the lower lash line. Okay, here we are. Now I am going into my inner corner with the shade Karma down here, which is a gold duochrome with a little bit of lime. I love it. It just fits this vibe so much. Then I'm going under the eye with this Kiko eyeliner and kohl in 710. In my waterline and on the lashes, just to give a base. And same thing on the upper lash line to intensify what we had going on. Then with a little smudger brush and Houdini, I am going to smudge this out. With the same fluffy brush as before and the shade Dragonfly again, very little and gently smudging it out. You don't want to have green eye bags. That is just not pretty. So use very little products. I could have gone for a smaller brush, but I don't want to clean brushes from blue eyeshadow, to be honest. It's a pain. It's a pain. Then again with my little brush, I'm gonna do Autumn Breeze and the inner third to mirror the upper, to mirror the lid. Here we go. This is the finished eyeshadow. Time for lashes, and I'll be back. And here is the finished look using my dupes for the Huda Beauty Emerald Obsessions palette. Ooh. Yes, I added false lashes, but that's okay.